So most companies that would come into a marketplace with a piece of gym equipment, which is really what it is,
One
say,
and done.
here's my gym equipment, and people will either get it or they won't get it. That's your 3%.
That's your buy or die traditional. I'm glad you brought that up, Aaron. That's your buy or die, short-sighted, I'm only now in the moment trying to make a sale business owner, and that is a borrowed time business owner.
Right. So you would never even looked at it, but he hit you from a different angle because you were down in the 30% don't think you're interested tranche. And instead of trying to sell you the machine, he sold you a book. So he got a micro commitment, he got a micro purchase from you. You went through the book, it swayed you. You bought the machine, you stopped. You used it for, I think it was 90 days, and you were calling me telling me this is amazing. Mm-hmm. And then you said, if this system is this good, I can only imagine what his supplements would be like. And then you got hit into a different area where now you're on the supplements. I have no idea what else you bought from this guy. And you're a rabid promoter that's told probably 100 people to go and get this, including me. But you were in the 30%. There's no way he could have pitched you the band system on its own. He had to hit you through a different marketing medium to get you into his ecosystem.
And that medium was publishing. And I look at publishing in two ways today. We've done many podcasts on this. Way number one is a book, a good old-fashioned physical book. It's never been easier to publish a physical book than it is today on Amazon's do-it-yourself platform. They have a self-publishing platform that literally one PDF can be uploaded, a cover can be put on, there's design teams that can help. You can be a published author with a physical book with a glossy cover on Amazon in a weekend if you really want it to be. But the second piece of content that is the most persuasive today, there's two. A book will always be a persuasive piece of content, right? Whether it's in digital form or physical form, even better because you can touch it, it's real. We're wired as humans to really respect authors.
Yep.
The second media is the podcast media, though. So I went and listened to a lot of interviews and podcasts on both YouTube and on the podcast platforms of John and the science behind X3. That's another way people are buying today because that conversation is a lot longer. It's not a quick video on YouTube. It isn't a quick commercial on TV. It's a 60-minute conversation in some cases about this backstory. Why did we develop it? There is a great backstory. How did we get here? What are the results people are seeing? Now you're training the Miami Heat and guys like Terrell Owens back in the day, right? So you get to hear those stories. This is why a lot of the political candidates that are rising in the polls are the ones who are most prevalent on long-form podcasts, right? Because they can be heard and they can be seen and they can be understood better than the quick sound bites. Very powerful in business too, which is why you need to have a show or get on people's shows. So that you can have those long-winded conversations for people that need a lot of data and info to buy.
And something that's nice about being in the world of publishing content, like being on a podcast or hosting your own podcast or putting up YouTube videos, for example, is they're pieces of real estate. Mm-hmm. You know, if you go on a radio show and you get interviewed, it's a one and done, right? If you go on a TV show, even let's say you're on Good Morning America, you would have a ton of traffic. Don't get me wrong, people checking you out. But it's a one and done. Like people aren't going back and watching old episodes of Good Morning America. But the reality is that when somebody starts following, you know, we'll just choose an example of someone you like, which is Patrick Bet-David.
We both,
right? We both like him very much.
That's your reco, man.
That was my recommendation to you to check him out. So you went and checked him out. Then what did you end up doing? You ended up binge watching all of his stuff that he put out a long time ago.
Binge watching.
So that was still... That lives in perpetuity, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
The power of the archive, right?
Absolutely. Did you know that
Aaron, big giant table of content. You could go to Rogan or Patrick Bet-David show, our two favorites, and you could just scroll the list and go, you know what, I'm gonna listen to this interview from 2 months ago, a year ago, because this person interests me, right?
I have our show link in my email signature, and at least once a month, someone gets on with me to talk to me about marketing for their company. And they say to me, I watched 7 of your episodes in the last week. So I did that a long time ago.
They probably picked and chose which ones, Aaron.
Yeah, they pick and choose what they're interested in. But it's living there in perpetuity. So I've done the work once and I'm getting leverage from it over and over again.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the long tail game of content and education that, by the way, the podcast platform and YouTube, they live on, and YouTube can become your TV channel. And the podcast becomes your radio channel. We haven't changed a lot over the years, right? We went from radio and TV to podcast and YouTube. It's the same media. It's just a different layout of the media, and one is a little bit more older school, one is newer school, but they're the same concept. Radio, voice, YouTube, TV. Not a whole lot different, right? Things don't change all that much. The more things change, the more they stay the same, they say, right? That's how you need to be playing the game here. And if you don't have content in both video and in both audio to support this, this bottom half of the buying range, it's going to be really tough to open the mouth of your sales funnel. Can't think of a better time to do it than now, as we, theme of the show, get into a sales cycle and a period in history economically where it's going to take more to sell to people, not less, which means now's the time to get my voice out there and do my podcast. Now's the time to do the YouTube channel, right? My